Hello everybody and welcome back to another Minecraft command block tutorial. Today I will be showing you how you can add your very own custom crafting recipes and custom items to your worlds in Minecraft Bedrock Edition. As always, this works entirely without the use of any mods, resource packs, or add-ons, and you can do this on any platform that's running Minecraft Bedrock Edition version 1.19 or up. So with that being said, let's not waste any more time and let's get straight into the tutorial. Quickly, before we get into the tutorial, I do want to go over some of the limitations with the way the custom items work in this system. If you don't want to hear this, I'll have a timestamp on screen now, and you can skip to that part to get straight into the tutorial. But for those of you that do want to listen, the way the custom items work in this system, so right here we have an item called the Amethyst Knife. These use a parameter on items called the data value. Now, most items in the game won't use this, but I say most because there are a select few items and tools and weapons that do use this value to alter the way the item is/works. So some of those blocks include logs, carpet, wool, stained glass, and pretty much all of the tools, weapons, armor, and most of these items right here in the equipment category. So in terms of like blocks such as logs, carpet, stained glass, they use the data value to change the way the block looks. For example, stained glass, the data value changes the color of the glass. Carpet and wool do the same thing. And for items such as swords or chest plates, pickaxes, the data value actually controls the amount of durability that has been used on the item. So unfortunately, if you want to, unfortunately, you won't be able to create any custom items using these blocks or items. I mean, unless you want a sword that one-shots everything when it's on one durability. But if you want a normal item that has custom properties, unfortunately, there is no way to do that with these few items right now. Now, if you're unsure of which items work and which ones don't, do let me know in the comments of which item you want to use, and I'll reply as soon as possible, letting you know whether it is possible or not. Anyways, with that being said, that's all I'm going to say for now. Let's not waste any more time, and let's show you, or it's time for me to show you how you can add these to your world. Alright, so for this tutorial I've got two items right here, but they work slightly differently, and I will be showing you guys how you can make both. So number one right here, we've got the Amethyst Knife, and this item works in the way that you have to hold it in your hand in order to get the effects. As soon as I let go, if we wait a short duration, the effects will disappear. The second item right here, the Health Crystal, this will work as long as you have it anywhere in your inventory. I can place it here, it will give me effects, but as soon as I throw it on the floor, there we go, okay. As soon as I throw it, I lose the effects. So, we'll start out with the Amethyst Knife, and then I'll show you guys what you need to do in order to create an item such as the Health Crystal. So, before we actually put down any command blocks, there is a slight bit of setup that we have to do in order to get this item to actually work. And for that, we are going to need an anvil. Now, place it down. We're going to come back to that a little bit later. But the next thing you need to do is actually decide what item you want to use. Now, I'll just go with something simple. I'll use the Echo Shard. And instead of grabbing it out of your inventory like we normally would, so instead of taking this and putting it into my hotbar, we're actually going to go into the chat instead, and you're going to use /give. So I'm going to use /give @s Echo Shard, and before we press enter, we actually want to change the data value on this item. So for amount, we're going to input 1, obviously, unless you want more. But for data value, you can put this as anything, but just make sure it is not the same as any other, in my case, Echo Shards. So if you, for example, are using the Amethyst Shard for your custom item, you can have more than one, as long as they all don't have the same data value. So you can have one, for example, that gives you strength, one, as many as you want. So in this case, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'm just going to use one, and then we want to hit enter and give ourselves the item. Now it'll look normal, and you won't really notice any differences as if I throw it on the ground. It looks the exact same. Just make sure you don't equip another one, because if I do that, as you can see, they've stacked, and now I have to get rid of these. They won't work anymore. So make sure you have none of that item in your inventory, and then give yourself a fresh one. Once you've done that, now we can actually name the item to whatever we want. Now this doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna go with something simple. Let's do, I don't know, jump boost. So I guess I can call it the jump shard. There we go. Now we have the item ready and set up. The next step, you want to, we're going to save this item in a structure. So the reason we're doing this is when we use, the way the custom crafting recipes work, they will spawn in the item once you crafted it. I'll show you guys an example right here. So if I take the stick and the shard, chuck them onto the crafting table, they spawn in the amethyst shard. Now there's no way to spawn in an item unless we use structures. So that is the reason we are saving this item in a structure. So in order to do that, what we want to do, you want to throw down your item, make sure you know the coordinates. I'm just going to stand a block above it so I can keep track. And we're going to go into the chat, do /structure, just like this, and then save. Now you place in the name. I'm just going to call it test. You can name it whatever you want, just make sure there's no spaces. And this is where we put in the coordinates. So my coordinates are the exact same other than the Y coordinate. I am right now on 202, so I'll just do 201. So /structure, save, test, 201. And for you guys, obviously you want to keep these as whatever coordinates your item is placed on. Now make sure the from and to coordinates are the exact same. Then here, include entities, do true. And save mode you want to set to disk, I think. Now the reason we set the save mode, if we set it to memory, what the game will do, it'll store it in the world temporarily, but as soon as we leave, this structure will no longer be saved. So if you leave the world and if you rejoin the world and try to craft this item, it will no longer work. So make sure you save this structure on disk and not memory. Once we've done that, we want to hit enter and then do the command. It'll say save the structure and then with whatever name you used. Now to test whether this worked, I'm just going to pick this up. It's pretty simple. All we have to do is /structure load the name, so mine was test, and then the coordinates. So I'll just use 3 tildes to put it on my position. And if I enter the command, as you can see, it gave me an extra shard. I have 2, so that means my structure is successfully saved. If you want to, you can clear your inventory now. You don't have to. I'm going to just for the sake of the video. But with that, we are done setting everything up. Now you can set up as many items as you want. Just make sure you remember their structure, the structure name you save them on. So I suggest writing it down somewhere. But that is all we really need to do for setup. Now we can actually get to the commands. And as you can see, one single item only takes up 7 command blocks, and most of these are just particle effects to make the item look nice. So really, each item only takes up about 4 command blocks, and they're really simple to set up. So with that being said, the first thing you need to do is obviously get yourself a command block. If you don't know how to do that, you want to do /give @s and then command _block. So right here, if I enter this, as you can see, I've gotten myself a command block. Once you've done that, you want to place it down, and in these settings, we're going to set it to repeat for block type and redstone to always active. Now, make sure that the arrow of the command block is facing somewhere with open space. We are going to be attaching a few more to the end of this, so make sure there is plenty of space to build in front of this block. So once you place down your block, we want to go into the command, and we're going to type execute at e, and then square bracket, type equals item, comma, name equals, and then whatever the name of your first ingredient is. When I say ingredients, I mean the items you're using to craft your custom item. So in my case, to craft the amethyst knife, I need an amethyst shard and a stick. So here I've typed in amethyst shard. Make sure there aren't any spelling mistakes in your item name, otherwise this won't work. And if your item name does contain a space like the amethyst shard, make sure you place it in quotation marks once again, otherwise it won't work. Then once we put the item name, we want to put comma, z equals 1, and close the square brackets. Next, you want to type if block tilde space tilde minus 1 space tilde, and then whatever block you want to use to craft these items. So I chose crafting table. You can use anything, concrete, glass, doesn't matter. Just make sure you put it in correctly. Structure, load, and then your structure name, whatever it is, mine in this case is amethyst knife, followed by 3 tildes. So for those of you that don't know what this is doing, basically, in this command, we are checking to see if there are any amethyst Whoa, okay. Let me go back up and try that again. So, basically what that first command is doing is it is checking to see if we have any amethyst shards thrown down in the world just like this. More specifically, it's checking to see if there are any on top of a crafting table. If it finds one, it then tries to look for any sticks placed in the world right on the same block as the amethyst shard. Once it finds those, it loads in the structure, thus creating our item just like that. So if I were to change that to my test structure, it would spawn it in right there instead. But right now we aren't removing our ingredients, meaning this will just continue to spawn custom items forever until the items despawn or they are picked up. So that's what we're going to do next, remove the actual items used to create the custom item. For this, we're going to be using a chain command block. So you have your repeating command block here. You want to place it in the direction of the arrow directly in front of the repeating block. Make sure it's like this, not like this, not pointing back into it, not above it, otherwise it won't work. Just make sure it's facing the arrow. So if you have it like this way, make sure it's this way. If you have it up, make sure it's up. As long as they both point in the same direction, it will be perfectly fine. So, for block settings, we want to do block type as chain, condition, conditional, and redstone to always active. In here, right here, like this, and then we type in the name of the custom item. Now for the amethyst knife, I did add a color to the item name. I'll get rid of that to show you what it would look like normally. So if I were to do this with my jump shard, let's say, I'd replace amethyst knife with jump shard, just like that. And then once we put the item name, we put comma, r equals 1, and close the square bracket. I'm just going to quickly retype this to be what I had before, and I'll also explain what this does. So basically, what this is doing, it is running off of our first ingredient, which will still be on top of the command block once we load in our custom item, and it is basically removing everything else on top of the command block except the custom item we just created. So it'll remove both of our ingredients and we will just be left with our custom item. This last one here is just a particle effect. If you guys want to see this command, I will show it on screen now, and you can pause the video if you want to copy it now. The block settings are the exact same as the previous block right here, and you can just replace amethyst knife with the name of your custom item. So So if you want to use this command, just pause the screen, pause the video, not the screen, sorry, and just copy it down. Alright, so with that being done, we can move on to this next block, which is also a particle effect. You guys can look at this one too. This is just spawning that purple particle you see on the block, on the item right here. As you can see, if I pick it up and throw it, it has this purple trail on it. So if you want that, you can copy the command on screen right now. Just once again, replace Amethyst Knife with the name of your custom item. Alright, now we actually get to the custom effects of the item. So as you can see, for the Amethyst Knife, it's giving me strength and speed. So you can use any effects you want. You can use jump boost, it doesn't really matter. In order to actually do this, once again, we need a repeating command block, the same way as the previous one, repeat and always active. In here, we want to type execute at A this time, and then in square brackets, has item, no spaces, make sure you don't put any spaces, then equals, and then we want to do like this fancy curly bracket looking thing. I'll put some text on the screen with what it, or I'll put a picture on screen for what it will look like on your keyboard. I'm not sure what this one is called. You can see it right here behind my cursor. It's kind of like a normal bracket, just a little bit more fancy. As you can see, it has like a little bump coming up the side. Anyways, you want to type that in and then do location equals slot.weapon.mainHand, comma, item equals, and then here you want to type the name of the custom item, but not the name that we're giving it. So for my echo shard, I call it the jump shard. You don't, in this case, you would not type in jump shard. You want to instead type in the actual item name, so echo shard, just like how we type it in if we use /give. So as you can see right here, I called it, it's typed as echo underscore shard. Make sure you type your item exactly like how it would be used in /give. So right here, I've got amethyst underscore shard. Then put a comma and do data equals, and here is where you put in your data value of your custom item. So in my case, for the amethyst shard, I used 1. If you use 6, you put 6. If you used, I don't know, 256, type in 256. And once we've done that, you want to close the squiggly curved bracket thing, and then close the square bracket. Then you want to type run. And this is for a particle, I've just realized. Okay. This works the same way. You guys don't have to copy this one down. If you don't use this one, this next block that I'm about to show, this chain block, you just set this one to repeat instead and ignore this block. Here's the particle command on screen. My bad, I wasn't paying attention to what it was. If you want to use this, you can, but remember, it's completely optional. So, now, next block. For those of you that chose to use the particle, you want to set this to chain, unconditional, and always active. But for those of you who didn't want to use this, so just forget that this is here. For those of you who are only using these two blocks, then instead of setting it to chain, you just set this to repeat. Pretty simple. So, now in here, most of this command is the same. This whole execute as part is the same, just instead of using execute at, we are doing execute as at a, and then our whole has item check. The only part we change is right here from this run. We do run, and then effect at S, whatever potion effect you want. I chose speed, and then I believe it's the second amount that comes, the second like time of potion effect that comes first. You want to set that to 1, and then it's the amplifier, and then we can put true to hide the particle effects. If you put this as false, the particle effects will be visible. If it's true, they will be hidden. So I'm just going to double check. It should be the time of the effect first, and then the or the duration of the effect, and then the amplifier. Yep. So in this case, we are giving the player speed 1 for 1 second. If I set this to 7, we are giving them speed 7 for 1 second. Make sure this is 1, otherwise the effects won't be removed quick enough after you unequip the item. And then we have the second effect. If you want to include a second effect, you use this, otherwise you don't have to include this command block either. So for this one, we want to do block type chain, and then conditional and always active. Same thing here for the weapon, for the item check. Again, we are using execute as and not execute at. Make sure you type in that part correctly, otherwise you will experience some stuff that you don't want. This time I used strength, and I'm affecting the player with strength 2 for 1 second and hiding particle effects. And that is all we need to do for the first type of custom item, which is the amethyst one. So as you can see, if I hold out the amethyst knife, I get this particle effect, which is this first block I showed you. If I throw it, that is this block giving the item a particle effect, and we have the two effect blocks giving strength and speed. If I get rid of this, they both go away. And I'll show you guys how the crafting looks if I get this. And also, as you can see, I have a normal amethyst shard in my hand. It's not doing anything. I have to have this one, otherwise it won't work. Now, if I throw my amethyst shard, okay. Let's try that again. If I take my amethyst shard and my stick, as you can see, it did the explosion and spawned in our custom item. So that is how you make the item type number 1. The second one is basically the same. I'll run over the commands really quickly. The crafting works entirely the same. It's just the way we handle effects that works slightly different. So once again, repeating command block, always active. Same thing, this time I used nether star as the first ingredient, and then the second ingredient as a diamond. And the structure name this time for this custom item I called health crystal. Other than that, the command is the exact same. The only things you need to change are your first ingredient, your second ingredient, and the structure name. If you want to change the crafting block, you can do that too. It's up to you. Second thing, same thing. We run on the nether star instead this time and kill everything that's not this. And third block, I have the exact same particle effect as the first one. This is just the particle effect being applied to the health crystal. It is called Village right here, if you want to use it yourself. So as you can see, it's this nice little green particle that we see on villagers. Then I believe this is just the... No, this is the effect. Here is the particle effect being applied to the player, and never mind. I am incorrect. I can't believe this. I'm forgetting my own commands. Okay, anyways. These two blocks are the effects that are being applied to the player. Same check here, except since this one is being applied to our inventory, we type this very slightly differently. Again, we're going to use execute as to apply the effect, and then we do at a square bracket has item equals same thing as before, and then this time the item I've set to nether star and data equals 1. We don't include the location. If we don't include the location, it doesn't matter where it is in your inventory, it'll always be detected. And then everything else is the same. Run, effect, add s, whatever effect you want, duration, amplifier, and hide particles. Same thing over here. The only difference between this item and the previous item, as I just said on command block, the only difference here is that we aren't checking for the location right here. So if you include location, it'll be very specific as to where the item must be, but if you don't include location, the item can be anywhere in your inventory, as you can see. I have it in my inventory, I have it in my, can't put it in my offhand. I have it in my main hand, it works. If I have it over here, it works. And yeah, that's basically it. Now, if you guys do need any help or you're running into any problems, do let me know. I will try my best to reply as fast as possible to help you all out. And hopefully you guys add some cool and interesting stuff to your world using this system. Anyways, that is going to be it for today's video. I know it's been a long time since my last upload. Very sorry. I will be making a quick short video sometime soon talking about what's been going on recently, some of my plans for the future, and just catching up with some of the stuff I've missed. Anyways, thank you all for watching this video. Hopefully you all enjoyed and learned something new. If you enjoy these types of videos, these command block tutorials, be sure to like the video and subscribe. We are getting very close to 1,000 subscribers, and it genuinely helps out a lot and lets me know you want to see more content just like this. Thank you all for watching. That is all I have time for today, and I'll see you all soon. Have a great day.